worship with us at St. Thomas Wesley United Church in Saskatoon on this Sunday, April 26, 2020.
As we join together for worship today, we acknowledge that the land on which we worship is Treaty 6 territory, the ancestral land of several Indigenous nations and part of the homeland of the Métis. We respect the sacredness of our shared home and the ground on which we walk, and we are grateful for its stewardship throughout the centuries. At St. Thomas Wesley, we are proud to be an affirming ministry. The light of Christ. Christ is risen, surprising us with resurrection power in places we have given up. Bringing new beginnings, showing up in unexpected people and places. Enter our lives, God of life, with power for newness, with courage to love one another, with hope, peace, and joy, that we may be your new creation. Amen.
Here we are, 2 weeks past Easter Sunday. It's easier to see signs of resurrection around us now that it's warmer and sunnier. So, how's it going living one day at a time? Feels like the same day sometimes, doesn't it? Or else all blurred together. Dr. Bonnie Henry, Chief Medical Officer of BC, encourages us to live with kindness and mindfulness each day. And also to think 2 weeks at a time if we are straining ahead to see what lies there. Just 2 weeks, that's our horizon. That's when the officials take our collective temperature around how we are doing with the virus and then plan accordingly for the next 2 weeks. Here we're cautiously welcoming plans to slowly reopen Saskatchewan, 2 weeks at a time. Premier Moe said it's like a dimmer switch, turning up the light gradually instead of just flicking a switch. The dimmer switch is a good image for the slow dawning of Easter consciousness. The people around Jesus, after all the wreckage of betrayal, conflict, and death, begin to see each other in another light, in resurrection light. So what do we do after a resurrection? Why, we take a walk. That's what Jacob Karen and I did on Easter Sunday after the high point of making and sharing a YouTube service with you. Isn't taking a walk together one of life's simple pleasures to savor? And even though simple, it is a miracle as well, just to have the ability to walk and to walk freely in creation. So what did 2 disciples of Jesus do after hearing the women's amazing and strange tale of resurrection? Why, they went for a walk. They came out of hiding, poked their heads out from being holed up in that house, and cautiously got on the open road again. As they headed for the village of Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, a stranger fell in with them. He listened as they talked about the extraordinary events of that first Easter day. Near nightfall, as they approached the village, they invited the stranger to stay over. While they were at table, the stranger took bread, blessed and broke it, and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized the living Christ. And then he vanished from their sight. We've all had moments of seeing things in another light. The first words of our hymn, Voices United 371, are, "Open my eyes that I may see glimpses of truth thou hast for me." Sometimes a big reveal comes lightly with humor and joy. Other times we are in stuck and painful situations when the scales fall from our eyes. A friend talks about a moment when she didn't see any possibility of a future for herself. She was feeling stuck and lost. So what did she do? Why, she went for a walk. She went back to a walk that she walked many times 20 years ago, a well-worn, lovely path through a university campus. And she remembered another time many years ago when she also felt stuck and lost and her future was not clear. But now, from the viewpoint of 20 years later, she could see there had been a future after all, and it was good. Now she could trust, based on this previous experience, that another future would roll out for her, and it would be good. She didn't have to know what it was right now. And so she walked back to her apartment to resume day by day solitary living in these times we are in, with a sense of just enough going on to feel okay in the present, but with hope for a future. Sitting here, she said, stuck in my place, I read about people in other times eating hardship soup, running for the woods when the soldiers came near. And here we are, government pouring billions into keeping us going. She thought it's okay to putter in the present, not always having to think and worry about what my future will be. After a traumatic time, the disciples started walking back to the country, maybe hoping to resume the village or fishing life they'd known before their teacher came and scooped them up. Maybe hoping to pick up the pieces of a familiar life. But as they sat down to their evening meal, as they prepared to bless and break the bread together, and as the guest led words of blessing and did the action of breaking, as this happened, they realized it was familiar, they recognized it, and yet they got a glimpse of their future breaking open again, of their dreams not dead. As they felt a living presence with them, soon they'd be making a break for it, back on the open road, more boldly now, rising up as resurrection people with resurrected hopes and dreams and intentions of building better lives for everyone. They recognized the light of Christ in one another again. They got their trust back. As companions on the journey, they would share life in common, sharing a more inclusive, daring, and tender love. To be clear, there would be no going back to life as it had been. But there was also new living to be done, and not just settling for a new normal, but reimagining how they might live together. I was talking to one friend saying, he was really enjoying working from home. So was his partner. They'd go for bike rides with the boys, and things had slowed down, and family life was at a different pace than it had been for years. He knew this might not last, but they thought, boy, they're going to build this kind of slow time in together for the future. The church movement's faith story has always been, it doesn't have to be this way. We can make a difference. Go, make a difference. Called by earth and sky. Do these words sound familiar? Do you recognize them? I hope we'll be singing them again, holding our More Voices hymn books in our hands. Bye for now.